Hi, my name's David, and today we're going to do another pair programming leak code problem. I know that studying for coding interviews can be a frustrating process, but I want to show that you can have fun with this, and that's what I hope to do with this series. So today we have our guest, Diego. Diego, why don't you introduce yourself, say your name, where you're from, and where you're at in your coding journey?
Okay. Hi, my name is Diego Mars. I'm a full stack web developer programmer from Camas, Washington. I graduated a bootcamp through University of Oregon roughly a year ago. Since then, I've been working as a TA at edX and have been enjoying it a lot. I'm excited for tonight. What about you, David?
Yeah, I'm excited too. We've been working together, so excited to see how this problem is going to go. Question: what technology would you say you're most excited about?
Um, that's a tough one. Because I'm kind of learning Python.
Mhm.
I'm also learning Svelte, but I know those are kind of unrelated. But I think Svelte. I really do. It's it's up and coming.
Yeah.
It's a lot faster than React. It's a lot more fun using React, and it's also just I love how it's like kind of embedded in vanilla JavaScript, which is really nice, and also how like styles are also I guess specific to the file you're working on, or they're specific to components. So if you were to like style something within a component, it's only going to affect that component, which is a big problem I have with React. And
Mhm.
I'm just so happy it exists. I'm eager to learn more about Svelte. But yeah, I'm super excited about Svelte.
That's awesome. Yeah, I haven't used it or looked much into it, but that's good. How what made you even look into it?
Um, so I guess like word of mouth. I kind of heard about it. Like, I was talking to a developer. I believe they mentioned how their company is using Svelte, and he highly encouraged me to look into it. It's also how I discovered Vite, which is a build tool similar to Webpack, but light years faster, in my opinion. It's also cutting edge. Um, I
Nice.
toyed around with it, just built some very simple, stupid components. It was like deploying a Svelte website is also pretty easy. It's pretty much identical to how you would deploy a React website to like GitHub pages or something like that. I'm really enjoying it. I'm not. I mean, I wouldn't say I like it more than React. I still think React has value. But I do think it's a lot of fun. I do think Svelte is a lot of fun.
That's good. That's good that you learn about a technology from another developer and you took the initiative to learn it.
Fantastic.
Awesome. So great. Would you mind sharing your screen and going to problem 217?
Okay.
Contains duplicate.
All right.
Great. And you'll be solving this in JavaScript, right?
That's correct.
Awesome. So take your time, read the prompt, and then explain to me your understanding of the prompt
Okay.
that so that you understand what's going on.
All right. Given an integer array nums, return true if any value appears at least twice in the array, and return false if every element is distinct.
Mhm.
Okay.
So walk
And
me through the examples.
so if our nums is the array 1, 2, 3, and 1, we return true because 1 appears twice in the array, right?
Yes.
So an example 2, if nums is 1, 2, 3, 4, it's false because every number is unique.
Right.
And example 3 is input nums 1, 1, 1, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, 2, 4, 2. Definitely true. We have two numbers that appear more than once, so naturally that's going to be true.
Right. So we're just looking for at least twice in the array.
Oh yeah, just twice. So
Great.
there
So
is one JavaScript command that I think could help us called sum. I may have to look into it, but it's a property of the array.
mhm.
So what we could do is we could iterate through, so we can do for number in nums.
Okay.
And what we could do is we could check if nums dot sum. I don't
So explain to me what's the logic behind some.
okay. So sum, what it does is it actually returns true, or if the element inside of its parentheses appears in the array more than once, or at least twice. So that's what we're gonna do. So we are currently taking the nums array. Okay, I should probably indent this so it implies that we're inside of the for loop. So we're checking if nums, so the array, dot sum includes number.
Okay.
So if it does, we return true. And we keep iterating. This is going to keep going until the array stops. If we're outside of the array and return true has not been called yet, we return false.
Great.
So
yeah, that logic sounds fine.
Okay. So I'm gonna give this a shot. So for let I equals 0 is less than nums dot length. I suppose so. Now let's keep it as nums. So I'm gonna also if you don't mind, I'm going to create a let variable here called number and just set that to nums I for readability.
Okay, so you're looping through
I don't have to say nums I all the time.
Yes.
Okay. So nums I. If nums dot sum, make sure I'm using that properly. Some number, return true.
Nice.
Okay. And outside of the for loop, we return false because if, let's say the for loop kind of reaches its end and this is never invoked, then that way we know that there is no number that appears more than once in the array.
Right.
So,
So if we don't hit that return true, we know that there's every number is unique, so we return false.
yeah. All right. So I'm gonna run this.
Give it a try.
Dot sum type error 1 is not the function. Length sum. Okay. Function.js. 1 is not a function.
Let's scroll up.
Okay. So it's
something with you. Why don't you look up the syntax of
sure.
JavaScript?
There we go. Okay, array prototype dot sum. Okay. So there is.
Okay, so it has the array dot sum.
Yeah, that seems right. Nums dot length.
So let's look. Go back to it. The documentation.
Okay. Sure. So that's where there is one element. It returns true.
Looking at this example, what are they using? They're passing through even. What is even?
Yeah. Okay. Men's element. Okay. Oh, they're passing a function in. If we're checking if whatever element is, they're checking if it's even. So element mod 2 is equal to 0. That's how we check if numbers are even.
Yeah. So the what's passed through the sum is a function that will return true or false
Right. Um,
given, and it'll pass that function to the array.
I see. Passes test implemented by the provided function. Okay. I see. Okay. Check if numbers dot sum. Oh, I know what we can do. We can. So I'm gonna update this. So sum is not gonna be. So the function we can include in sum is. So comparison. And what we're doing here is we're gonna check if comparison equals number. So comparison is supposed to represent so if we go here, what it's doing is it's checking each element and running it against this. So we call sum even down here. And it's going to compare each element. So I mod 2 is should be 1. Element 2 mod 2 is going to be 0, and so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
what I'm thinking, and it's going to return true because we have 2 even elements in the array. But in our case, we're just checking if the current number that we're indexing through, or the current item in the array we're indexing through, is equal to our number in here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're checking. So you had to elaborate the sum, explain the logic you're doing. It didn't automatically do it.
Yeah. Trying to think here. Let me actually write it out here so it's a little more readable. There. Well, actually, that's not going to work because we need to reference number, which is right here. Okay.
Right.
I mean, that's just for readability. I'm sure if we just write it in here.
Yeah. So why don't we elaborate on this instead of using the sum method? We could just elaborate on that logic.
Oh, elaborate on the logic.
So just saying, instead of doing, would you like to keep going with the sum method, or you could pivot a little?
I could try pivoting.
Because I think you're on the right step with that comparison function you had, but you would just do this inside of the loop.
Right. So inside of the loop, do you mean Oh, you mean do it instead of here? But I'm not sure how that's going to work.
No, I meant instead of
Oh, instead of the sum.
if.
Oh, instead of the if. Okay.
So here, did you have any other direction with this before I
So I do have
mean to read?
one idea. So I was thinking we could create an object instead,
Okay.
and we could append each number. So we iterate through the array, we append the number or we add the number to the object as a key,
Okay.
and then the value is the number of times it occurs in that array, or the number of the number of times it shows up in the array. So
Why don't you type that out as a comment?
Sure thing. So let's say, yeah, that might help. So let's say our input is 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, and we have an empty object, or object equals. Oh, that's wrong. So for checking if, so for number nums, let's actually remove all this logic, because so for number of nums, we set count object number. Well, first of all, we need to check if count object dot number, and then set count object dot number to 1, else so, or sorry, if not, or if equals undefined. Okay, well, I'm not sure how we're gonna check it if it's in.
Not what's the. So what are you trying to do in that first if? Not.
Oh yeah. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to check if there is a number key inside of count object. If there isn't, we just set it to 1. So we add it to the object
Right.
as a key and set its value to 1.
Yeah.
So
So you're saying if it's not,
yeah, if
that
it's
doesn't
not,
exist.
so
Yeah, there you go.
else count plus equals 1. So we're gonna add it because it's already in the array, right? Or it's not in the array, in the object. So we just need to increment its key or its value by once for the respective number.
Okay. So with this logic, walk me through that array 1, 2, 3, 1. So what should the object look like?
Okay, so
with this.
So the object should look like this. So should look like I'm actually gonna do this instead. So we should look like this. So 1 is gonna be 2 because 1 appears once, and again here. 2 should be 1, and 3 should be 1 because 2 and 3 appear only once.
Okay, so you have this object, and then what can you do with it?
So what we can do, I may need to do some research on this, but I can take the keys. I believe there is a way to, no, not the keys, the values from the array, and check if so I'm just gonna write it out. So obtain the values from the objects. So obtain the values from the objects as an array. Iterate through the values. And so what we're going to do now is we are going to check. We're going to iterate through them one by one. So our array should look like this: 2, 1, 1.
Okay.
So we're going to iterate through this array. If any item in the array is greater than 1, we return true, because that means it has appeared more than once in the array, because we're counting how many times it appears up here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the count is greater than once.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right. Otherwise return. Okay. So might be a little more work than the last one, but I guess it's a little bit more readable.
So scroll up lines 18, 19. So you obtain these values.
From the object as an array.
So you're creating a new array.
Yes. So yeah, we're creating a new array. So after we run all this code, the following before the next for statement where we iterate through it, we obtain all the values from the object as an array. I may need to look that up, but I do believe there is a way.
Okay. Let's
Cool.
give it this logic seems feasible. Let's try to code it out.
Number recurrences. So this is going to be our object.
Okay.
So if number which is a if not says number equals 1. So we're starting off at 1. Else number plus equals 1.
Nice. So go ahead.
So here we are if the objects does not include a key for the number,
Right.
it's by default to 1. Otherwise, since it already exists, increment it by 1. Okay.
So what can we, so how can we check if this logic works? What can we console log?
We could console log number. So I'm just gonna run that. Not expecting anything to pass, but okay, there we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1. Perfect.
Great.
Okay. Now this is the kind of tricky part. Is getting the each key or not value into its own array.
Okay.
So I will definitely need to Google that.
So what would you search?
Obtain object keys values. Keep mixing those up. Okay, I was well, let's give that a shot.
Yeah, that looked exactly like what you wanted, right?
Yeah, I was honestly kind of expecting that to be a little harder, but sure, let's give it a shot. Equals number is dot value. I'm gonna console log this too, just to make sure that we're heading in the right direction.
So what are you expecting to see in that console log?
So I'm expecting to see 2, 1, 1.
Okay, because those are the values in the object.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. Values is not an object.
So go back to the syntax.
Okay.
So look at
Oh. Okay, you're not actually calling values on your object. You're okay.
yeah, it's tricky because the variable name they use is object.
Yeah. Okay, well sure, let's give that a shot. Object or use. Okay, let's give that a shot.
Nice.
So just to recap, what we did was we created a number occurrences object up here. And what we're doing in here is what we're doing is we're populating this object with keys and values. The keys being the number itself and the value being the number of times it occurs in our array. So what we're doing here is we are checking if number occurrences does not have a number key. If it does not, we set it to 1 by default. Otherwise, since it already does exist in the array, we just increment its value by 1. And after console logging it, we did get an object with the numbers for the keys and the occurrences for the values. And
Nice.
what we just did on here was we used the object. I'm curious. So the object.value states. So we use the objects, I guess. We called its values property on number occurrences, or we passed number occurrences through its values property. So that way it's going to return the values of that object.
Great.
And that is exactly what we have down here. So
Awesome.
now all we have to do is iterate through our array one more time. And what we're going to be doing now is we are going to be checking if any of the numbers. So we're going to be iterating through our array. If the number we're currently on is greater than 1, then by default we return true. If we are done iterating through the array and none of the numbers are greater than 1, then we return false.
Okay.
So this is the last thing we have to do. I equals 0 is less than value stop length I plus plus. So what we're going to do is we're going to check if let's number equals values I. So I'm just adding this for semantic reasons or syntactic sugar. Yeah. So if number is greater than 1, return true. And that's actually kind of all there should be to it. David, do you want me to explain anything else?
No, that makes sense. Let's
Okay, cool.
try running it.
All right, let's give it a shot.
Nice.
Okay, we passed case 1, passed case 2, and we passed case 3.
Great.
Perfect.
So let's try to. Did you delete all the console logs you added?
Yes, I did. So
Okay.
no,
So you can try to submit it.
perfect. Accepted. Perfect.
Nice.
And runtime 138 beats 35.99. Okay.
So let's go over this code and go back to it.
Okay.
So go back to the click on description.
Oh, okay. That's
And now what would you say is the time complexity of this?
okay. So we're calling a for statement here. And while we're just iterating through it, we're iterating through the nums.length.
Okay.
So, and we have another for statement down here. And that's also going to be, we're also iterating through values.length. Didn't mean to do that. I believe the time complexity is going to be, well,
First, here. So your first loop, for loop, right?
yeah, we have
just focus on the first for loop for now.
Okay.
What
So
what would be that time complexity?
I believe it would be order n.
Yeah, O of n, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we also have and then this for loop. What would you say the time complexity be of that?
I also think order n.
Okay. And
So
then what about before we move on, what about lines 42?
line 42. Values. I believe that would be so for as far as space complexity, I believe this could be
Just think of the
order.
time. Because what is it's looking through that object, right?
Oh.
And it's getting
Oh,
all the
okay, yeah, because right, okay. This would also be order n.
okay.
Yeah. So that would be order 3n, which is equal to order n.
Great. So and the space complexity.
Space complexity. Okay. Okay. It's a tricky one. Not sure about the space complexity about for objects. I believe could be order n, because the amount of properties we have in the object or the amount of keys we have in the object varies by the nums.
There you go. Yes.
So what am I missing? So order n, return false, return true. Okay, I believe it would be order n.
Mm-hmm. Another thing to note is that on lines 42, so that is returning an array. So you're creating an array.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So it'll be 2n, which rounds down to n.
Oh, I see. Okay, so this is also like a. Okay, so because this is this is included in our time complexity because we're iterating.
Yes.
But it also plays into our space complexity because it's returning a value.
Yeah, it's tricky because these JavaScript methods, you have to understand their time and space complexity because it affects your algorithms' time and space complexity.
Cool. Okay. All right.
But yeah, that's a good job. Yeah, because with the time complexity, you're looping through nums, and then you're looping through the object that was created depending on nums, and then you're looping through the array that was created from the new array that was created depending on the object. So yeah, those that's why they're all O of n, and then the space is you create this object and then an array, and then it rounds down to O of n.
Okay, cool.
Do you see any improvements you can make to this code?
I don't have any. Yeah, I do. I do see a couple problems. I'm not really a big fan of having to use multiple for loops. Well, this included, because this is also iterating through our objects down here as well. I do think that maybe there could be a better solution that does not require this much iteration.
Right. So, but just if using the current code you have, what you can do in -42 is that you created an entirely new array as you loop through the values. What you can do is that you can just loop through the values of the object, and then as you loop through the values of object, then if it's greater than, if it's 2 or greater, you can return true. You can kind of combine the logic on lines 42 and your for loop to 44.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the main thing that you can use using this logic.
Okay. Well, the kind of reason I went with this approach is that, like, I don't think you can iterate through objects unless I'm mistaken. So that's why you have to obtain the values and store them inside of an array.
You can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, like that object.values method does iterate through the object. So it's another method.
Okay.
It's not used. It's not iterating through object is not a common thing. It's not actually not an efficient thing as well.
Okay.
But that's one way.
Okay.
And then are you familiar with sets? The data structure?
Kind of.
Yeah. So sets are similar to object, but as in it holds uniqueness, but it doesn't. It just think of it as the key part instead of the value. So you add it to a set. If something's already in a set, it doesn't add it again. It's already there.
Okay.
So a set is useful to figure out any uniqueness, because you loop through this array and then you add things to the set, and then if something's already in the set, you know that it's not unique, or you know that it's not unique.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
Okay. But yeah, that's another like a different data structure, different strategy to solve this one.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Diego.
Likewise.